Meet the Baldwins. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. If you have not already watched my analyses of Alec Baldwin and Hilarious Baldwin, I'd encourage you to do so. Not only will you learn plenty about narcissism, but you'll also understand what these two individuals are, a pair of narcissists. Alec Baldwin's career had a bit of a kick in the bollocks as a consequence of the death of a member of the crew on the production Rust. There was the potential for Baldwin to find himself on the hook criminally, but he was acquitted. But this undoubtedly has had an adverse impact upon both his profile and also future work, which has meant that these two narcissists decided to make the crossover into reality television. This appeals to their individual narcissism because it allows them a vehicle to assert control over an audience. It allows them a vehicle to draw fuel by way of people's reactions. It allows them the opportunity to make money from it, which is a residual benefit. Undoubtedly, they'll be wealthy as a consequence of Baldwin's career, but there'll be a high-maintenance lifestyle because you have a pair of somatic narcissists who are interested in the material and in the circumstances that, along with the fact that I think they've got 7 children, they've got certain expensive overheads that need to be maintained. Accordingly, gaining that residual benefit from a reality television series has proved attractive to them. They have no emotional empathy, of course, for their children, exposing them to the glare of the exposure that comes with being in a reality TV series. No consideration for whether they'd like to do it, no consideration for the impact upon them. They demonstrate the typical absence of boundary recognition by exposing their children to this glare of publicity. The show has been reviewed by Tim Tiemann in The Times, and the headline is, "What does the Baldwins tell us about Hollywood's strangest couple?" Perhaps it is time for celebrities to stop complaining about the media invading their privacy, hypocrisy, or at least be a little more honest about their off-stated desire to be left alone. Several high-profile figures, via social media, books and television shows, and sometimes all of the above, keep invading their privacy to sell us products and or themselves, often with the additional intent of laundering damaged public relations, facade management. In the latest trailer for her upcoming Netflix show, The Duchess of Sussex is admirably blatant, elucidating why her brand American Riviera Orchard has been renamed as ever. Before her much ballyhooed jam spatters the globe, here come the actor Alec Baldwin and his wife, Hilaria, emoting on cue in their new reality show, The Baldwins. The name harks back to the mix of domestic drama and chaotic jollity from that OG of the genre, the Osbournes, and features Baldwin, age 66, Hilaria, 41, and their 7 kids, Carmen 11, Raphael 9, Leonardo 8, Romeo 6, Eduardo and Marilu 4, and Ilaria 2. The show follows them between their New York City apartment and palatial pad in the Hamptons. There are also 2 nannies who deserve medals for valour, 4 dogs and 4 cats, despite Baldwin being decidedly allergic to the last. Thus, there's a privileged lifestyle, which at a time when many people are struggling to pay their bills, they don't see that there's anything wrong in pushing this into people's faces, underpinning their absence of emotional empathy. In the Osbournes, Ozzy was only burdened with the very rock star mantle of biting the head off a live bat. The Baldwins contends with a far grimmer tragedy. Baldwin's involvement in the accidental death of the cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the film Rust in October 2021. Baldwin was positioning a revolver during filming when it went off, killing Hutchins and injuring the director Joel Souza. Viewers can judge for themselves the taste and wisdom of the Baldwins using this incident as a central storyline. Well, I will judge them in that regard. A woman lost her life. This was on the set of Baldwin's film, and yet both Baldwin and Hilary see nothing wrong with exploiting that woman's death as part of a storyline, a central storyline in their own show. This exhibits a sense of entitlement, an absence of emotional empathy for the family and friends of Helena Hutchins, the necessity of seizing this as a commodity to utilize for their own purposes, and, of course, to utilize that narrative to head off any criticisms of particularly Alec Baldwin. It is exploitative, and it is entirely commensurate with these two narcissists. Now, just a word about the two of them with regard to their relationship. If you've watched my videos When Narcissists Collide, parts 1 and 2, you'll know with regard to those particular narcissists that invariably it's tumultuous and tempestuous. That also will be the case between these two. The type of narcissist that they are, particularly because Alec Baldwin is an upper lesser type B, means that they will clash. Hilary Baldwin does utilize a facade. Baldwin doesn't. He's that angry narcissist. His rage-fueled rants that have taken place. Remember the way that he spoke to his daughter. Remember what he's done to people in the street when he's assaulted them. But with Hilary, she has operated a facade of being a kind person, although we do get frequent glimpses of the fact that she's not and the fury that lies beneath that. Their individual narcissism recognizes the advantages of staying together, the cementation in that regard. But theirs, in particular, compared to, say, other narcissistic couplings, is one where there will be plenty of ups and downs. There'll be plenty of ignited fury that takes place. However, ordinarily, that is not known about by the general public, primarily as a consequence of Hilary Baldwin's desire to maintain that facade of a passionate relationship, but one that's essentially wholesome and kind. Returning to the article, the incident's impact on Baldwin's life and career is a significant element of the show, Pity Play, a multi-episode arena to offer contrition, false, reveal personal pain, Pity Play, and seek absolution and atonement, nullification of threat to control. A different documentary about the incident will also premiere on Hulu in March. The first scenes of the first episode balance the loud and merry chaos of family life and son Rafe's 9th birthday party, cake being made, kids leaping everywhere, with the spectre of Baldwin at that moment facing being recharged with manslaughter. Accordingly, even his child's birthday party has to be overshadowed by what's happening to him. Tonally, the show goes for some dramatic shifts. Family life looks happy, loud, and a minute-to-minute logistical nightmare, especially with Baldwin's OCD, which is really just a manifestation of his need for control, trying to bring order. He's seen organising the freezer and arranging shoes and toys to the constant chaos. In effect, that's him seeking to nullify the threat to control posed by a chaotic family environment by focusing on something else other than his family. Hilaria says the legal nightmare has only worsened it. We quickly get into Baldwin's trauma, Hilaria's trauma, Pity Plays, self-indulgence, self-absorption, and their worries about the effects on their kids, false compassion, before hitting all the other tabloid hot buttons around them. The age difference, the accusations when they got together that she was a gold digger, him having so many kids at such an advanced age, and her inexplicable Spanish accent. She was born and raised in Boston. See parts passim in relation to my analysis of that by way of her character trait acquisition. All of those things are threats to their control, and so this television program is being utilised as a vehicle to nullify those threats to control. I understand Alec because I've gotten to understand Alec and feel the world very much misunderstands Alec, Hilaria says. He is a very tender soul. He's very raw, especially now. The only rawness about Baldwin relates to the fact that it doesn't take much to get his ignited fury to come to the fore. Baldwin says this past year was so hard. Naturally, he faced repeated threats to his control. With the kids, it's tough. I have one overriding thought. I have one overriding concern, and that is letting 7 children know that I love them. Obviously, lacking emotional empathy, that's not something that he actually has. But of course, it is something that he believes that he has because his narcissism causes him to think in those terms. Baldwin has consistently denied responsibility, lack of accountability, nullification of threat to control, for what occurred on the set of Rust, and after filming ended, a judge dismissed a charge of involuntary manslaughter against him, ruling that New Mexico prosecutors had withheld evidence that could have helped Baldwin's defense. In January, Baldwin filed a lawsuit accusing prosecutors and law enforcement officials of waging a malicious prosecution, victim mentality, assertion of control, against him after the shooting. The Baldwins say they are keenly aware of the suffering of Hutchins' widower, Matthew, and their child. We see the moment Baldwin is told in a police interview of Hutchins' death. He looks stunned. He's stunned because of the potential threat to his need for control. Watching Alec and his pain in no way is it meant to compare to Helena's loss with her son, who has no mum, Hilaria says. It breaks my heart. False compassion. She adds, I believe that all we can do is try to put one foot in front of the other and try to make our kids happy, triangulation with children, and so that's what we're doing. Helena lost her life in the most unthinkable tragedy. A son lost his mum. We are going to feel and carry this pain forever. This will be a part of our family story. Accordingly, like the grief ghoul that is this one's wife, Hilaria Baldwin is using the tragedy of somebody else to talk about them carrying the pain, them being upset, utilising it as part of their family story, lack of boundary recognition, appropriation of the emotions of others by way of character trait acquisition. This has just been surreal. I can't believe I'm going through this, Baldwin says, turning to his wife. I always feel more in pain for you than me. He adds that he is lain in bed and not wanted to get up, that he is happier asleep than awake. Pity play. Everyone close to Alec has seen his mental health decline, Hilaria says. He was diagnosed with PTSD. He says in his darkest moments, if an accident had to happen this day, why am I still here? Why couldn't it have been me? This isn't survivor's guilt. This is once again his narcissism driving him to portray this in a particular way for the purpose of eliciting sympathy in order to assert control. What keeps them going, Hilaria says, is trying to ensure their kids are happy and protecting them from the surrounding trauma, triangulation with children. I honestly, from the bottom of my soul, I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have you and these kids, Baldwin says to Hilaria. Sometimes I say, why do we have 7 kids? And it's to help carry me and you through this situation. Ah, so your children are just there basically for your use. That tells you plenty. The show marks Baldwin's most emphatic return to the public realm since the Rust tragedy. Last weekend he appeared briefly in Saturday Night Live's 50th anniversary show to introduce a package of the MB show's best parodies of TV commercials. A 17-time SNL host, he is rightly lauded for his brilliant impersonations of Donald Trump. Baldwin is very at home in Studio 8H. After a checkered film career, his best-known role came in Tina Fey's acclaimed sitcom 30 Rock, the show taking the colloquial name of NBC's legendary towering New York home, playing the dryly pompous, vain and manipulative Jack Donaghy. The eldest of the 4 Baldwin brothers, after him come Daniel, William and Stephen, Baldwin has won 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, 3 Golden Globe Awards and 8 Screen Actors Guild Awards. He's also been nominated for an Oscar, a BAFTA and a Tony Award, the latter for his role as Stanley Kowalski in the 1992 Broadway production of A Streetcar Named Desire. There's no doubting that Baldwin is a talented actor. Baldwin's first marriage to Kim Basinger ended in divorce in 2002 after 9 years. In 2007, he hit the headlines after leaving their daughter Island an abusive phone message. See parts passive for the analysis in that respect. Baldwin told The Times in 2010, marriage isn't the problem, the way we divorce is the problem. He and Hilaria, a yoga instructor and author, began dating after meeting in a restaurant 14 years ago. See parts passive for the analysis in that regard. Of their age difference, Hilaria says in the show, I don't believe age is just a number. He was very different when he was 26 years younger, and I will probably be very different when I am 26 years older. She thinks we should respect where people are, see if it works, and for them it does. Of his own aging, Baldwin notes, I have no time to waste. I'm worried. Yes, the aging narcissist and the threat to control that manifests. I love you most when you're asleep, Baldwin tells his wife in the show, who gives him the finger in response. Devaluing comment, devaluing response. Remember, these are 2 narcissists that are interacting. It's not just banter. In the show, they have a mini on-camera squall over the prenup. was showing, of course, the way that they will, even when there are cameras around, because of the lack of facade on the part of Baldwin and the intermittent facade on the part of Hilaria Baldwin, results in the fact that you will see these clashes between them. Hilaria says she didn't understand when she signed it. The Spanish accent re-emerges as her voice quickens. "You're speaking English in a Spanish cadence, which is always perilous for me," Baldwin says. "Slow down. I can't understand you." Mockery, devaluation. Hilaria says she was raised bilingual and is raising her children to be the same. Having her accent mocked took her to a dark place, threat to control, but she adds growing up speaking two languages is extremely special. "I love English. I also love Spanish. When I mix the two, it doesn't make me inauthentic. It makes me normal." In the first episode of the show, the family head to the Hamptons, the summer refuge for New York's super rich. Baldwin somehow left driving a car with only the cats he is allergic to for company. And so the Baldwin's tone is set. Drama, light and shade, chaos, merry and otherwise. It is perhaps a natural brand extension for an actor with such a dramatic professional and personal past. He twinkles and stares as ambiguously at the cameras in his own home as he did on 30 Rock. That's because it's the same person. It is the acting of the narcissist that you're seeing. "I crave a completely private life," Baldwin told The Times in 2010. He has a funny way of showing it, which of course is the hypocrisy of the narcissist. It remains to be seen whether there are further reviews of the show, and I don't necessarily propose to watch it myself, but what it will do is exhibit more of the narcissism of Alec and Hilary Baldwin. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.